And we're early. Yeah, we're here. So anyway, so we have like what we call like the best like 2-3 days of the holidays because our good friends of ours do the night before the night before.
Okay.
So we all go over there and it's roughly the same core group giver. And then it's like, but then it's like, parts of their family that come in and their friends. And then we have Christmas Eve. So the core group from town where all our kids grew up, they all come here and keep rolling into it. And then, yeah, by the time Christmas Day rolls around, we're knackered.
Yeah.
And especially, dude, building that plastic crap, like, and like hiding it in the barn or in the wherever the hell it is. I mean, I'm just so I liked it when I enjoyed doing it, but oh my God, like building that stuff for them when they were little. Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
we had
hard.
like 2 Christmases where my wife went, 1, overboard on presents, and 2, she saved all the wrapping to like the night of.
Oh,
Oh,
rookie move.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Now
Man,
it's like, hey, we wrap like 4 or 5 every night. It's like,
yeah,
up,
dude.
we just wrap like 3.
I mean, Angela's already got everything wrapped.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for her gifts. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And now that my kids are teenagers, they don't want stuff.
No.
They're like, give me some money, Dad, so I can like go buy the things I want.
Money's the big thing. It was, they go through like the toys and the plastic crap and Nerf guns and all the other Lego stuff and all that stuff. And then they get into electronics and then they get into clothes and money.
Right.
And they're just like, yeah, just give me that. And then we're like, so like what? Like, then occasionally they get a watch or some other,
right.
Or
they,
they
need something, right? So you give them some shoes or clothes or whatever, right?
It's like, yeah, because it's like now, but you always still like give them a little surprise. But yeah, like my daughter's 22, my son's 19. They're like, yeah, like, and asking like, and they're two completely opposite, right? Like, my daughter has a list, and she's like, here it is. She'll create a cart in Amazon or whatever, and just be like, here it is. Just get whatever store she's into, right. And my son's like, whatever. Now I'm good, which makes it harder. Because then you're like,
it does make it
hard, you're like, dude, I can't say no to anything because I don't know what I'm getting. So, she's, Angela's great at what, I mean, it's like you'll realize why, people are married and stay together because like I can't do, nor do I want to do the things that she does.
100%. My wife is my complete opposite. Like, she does all the things I don't like to do, and I do all the things she doesn't like to do.
Right. It's pretty, and that's how it works, and I think a lot of times people get into trouble because they're like, well, you should, do what you should. No, I don't. I do this because you like it. And I don't mind it. I don't mind it because it makes you happy.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, it's not about what I want to do. Like, you got me moving. That's more than what I want to do. So it's like, yeah. But anyway, so again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Again, you're at the Killer Be Killed podcast. Yeah, we jumped on a little early, and this is the most unlistened to podcast in the interwebs. So yeah, so we want to get into this. So I want to set this GSP thing up. If you don't know what GSP is, you're living under a rock. But George St. Pierre, phenomenal, one of the GOATs of MMA, tough as nails. I mean, the guy's fantastic. I mean, forget about it. You can't even, he's up there with the greats. Like GSP in his prime, forget it, right? So he started putting out like self-defense videos. And I don't know what happens to guys when they start teaching self-defense. So, hey, John, thanks for joining us, brother. So I don't know what happens to like fighters when they start teaching self-defense because it starts looking like all the other bullshit out there. It automatically falls into this pattern of crap.
Yeah.
And so let's just share this and Just 1 second, guys. Let me just, all right. And if you think you're going to get some like secret stuff, okay, so let me just, where's my share? Move my screen. Present the share screen. Here we go. Okay. Let me know. You can see it?
Yes.
We're good? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
What a self-defense move could be real fast. Imagine someone grab me 2-on-1 and he's much stronger than me. Kick, get outside the center line, go palm to palm, retract, elbow, groin, hit the back of the head while I'm moving outside the center line. Remember, in a street fight, there's no rules. And this is something that pretty much everyone can do. So someone grab me 2-on-1, kick, move outside the center line, palm to palm, retract, elbow, groin, hit the back of the head, and here I can do whatever I want. All right? If you want to dive more into this and learn more, check out the link.
Okay. So, first of all, he's George St. Pierre. He can do whatever the hell he wants. Anyway. So, forget about that. So, if for whatever reason someone is grabbing.
Wait, can we just, before you go there, can
Okay.
we just say, why is the first self-defense class grabbing the wrist?
Right.
What?
Well,
I mean,
right.
I love what you always say. Is there a wrist grabbing epidemic?
Yes.
Like, I can honestly say I have never had my wrist grabbed in any
No.
situation.
Like I've gone
Even my
through.
parents didn't grab my wrist. My dad
Right.
would just grab me by the shoulder or something when I was a kid.
Nobody's grabbing two hands on the. The only time it would be conceivable is if you were holding a firearm or a weapon and it was in your hand and somehow somebody just felt like grabbing that weapon, or you're reaching for your holster, you're drawing your weapon from your holster, somebody grabbed it. And we have to understand how, what he's teaching and how this evolved. This all comes from, judo Goshin Jitsu, which is from Japanese jiu-jitsu, which was very hand and sword centric.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. People grabbed the wrist because they were trying to stop you from drawing your sword or from swinging your sword.
Correct. So that would make sense. But in reality, why doesn't he just punch him in the fucking face and repeatedly punch him in the face and go about his business and save everybody the fucking hassle of doing everything else? You don't need to do this at all.
So the other thing too is he says, you're being grabbed by someone much stronger than you. Okay, if you're being grabbed by someone much stronger than you, they're not holding on. They're usually yanking you. Like,
yanking
remember
or
that video
pulling
we
you,
showed
right?
like a couple months ago where it was like that fake kidnapping?
Yes.
And he pulled the kid and the kid went in the air,
Right.
Like,
right.
That's what happens is they grab you and they pull you. So you're already off balance because you just got yanked.
Yes. Hey, Stefano, thanks for joining us again. So, we'll go through this. I'll just take off the volume because we don't need to hear him. Again, you're the whole premise of the wrist grab is insane. Okay, this, like, to your point, I don't know who's grabbing like this, and the fact is that he puts out his hand, he gives his arm to the fucking attacker.
Yeah, we're talking about those training scars, right?
Right, which is, you don't train like that, but every fucking, I gotta stop saying the F word. Every freaking martial art on the planet does that. When you say attack, grab my wrist, and what does the defender do? He hands the wrist over to the attacker, which in reality, if the guy is going to be grabbing your wrist, it's gonna, and you may, I don't know, react if like, what the hell are you doing? Like, pull your wrist away. But let's just say, again, let's accept this ridiculous attack. All right. So he's grabbing you both hands. Okay. He's extending his hand out, which again, when I see stuff like that, it just triggers me for like, this is standard, strip mall dojo bullshit, right? This is it.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like.
This is the point I wanted to make. You have GSP, a legend in the octagon.
Animal. He's a freaking animal.
When did he ever use this wrist?
He would never do this ever.
When did he ever use it? Ever?
ever, never.
He never did, right? And so this just goes to show that even somebody as experienced as GSP, who would probably in a real encounter just like punch the dude and roundhouse kick him to the face and be done.
Right. I mean, he's just going to come in with his other hand and just kill his head in.
Right. So why not teach that? Right. It goes back to this whole like, now I'm going to teach self-defense. So now I have to go back to what the expectation is. Like, I don't understand this.
Yeah. And this is what's wrong with it. And it's like guys like this, like, you're not reflecting on what really, your life and what works. I mean, granted, you could be like, oh, this is GSP. Look, training to hit somebody in the face repeatedly is a lot easier to do than remembering to shake your own hand and pull your hand out after you hand them your hand. So again,
yeah. So can we also point out again, the whole wrist grab is so bad, but if you on his, I actually went to the website and he talks about how this is good for men, women, and children.
Well, he's trying to sell shit, right?
If a child is being grabbed by an adult, presumably a man, you can grab your own wrist and try and yank it out all you want. That is not probably going to come out.
No. And the other issue that I have is the opening technique. Okay. If you are getting grabbed, you're getting yanked and moved.
Again, right? You're getting yanked.
Guess what you can't do? You can't do. Meanwhile, the guy has both his hands on one hand and you have another hand and your head free.
Totally free.
You can be smash him in the face, headbutting him, and running him the hell over, right? So, no, he does this typical. This is like the crap I learned in Taekwondo when I was 15, right? This is it. This isn't, George St. Pierre doing George St. Pierre. This is
the crap GSP learned when he was in Taekwondo when he was 15.
Yeah, probably, right.
And now he's like, oh, I'm going to teach self-defense. What do? Oh, yeah, self-defense. Not,
right.
Hey, I have, 20 years or 15 years fighting people. This is what this is what works.
Right. So now just a shin kick and getting off the center line. Again, we have no reaction from this guy. So we're already to this point, and this is, this is preposterous. Now you're just hitting people, right? So, I mean, from this point on, it doesn't matter. He's just hitting heavy.
From this point on, I like that he emphasizes continuing to circle and get off the line. Sure. It's better than most.
Right. I mean, we like to run people over.
But circling works too.
I'm not hating it, right? But it's like,
why? If he's so concerned about getting off the line, get off the line first. Don't
right. Exactly. Get off the line. So like right here, when you're grabbed, right, you're getting pulled or you're getting headbutted if we're accepting this assault, right? Yeah. So we accept this. We can't do this. We can't do this kick. You're not lifting your leg up. You're not doing anything. And, and this is where it's like, you're getting pulled, it's like you got your other hand, you got your head, you got your shoulder, you have your whole upper body. And this guy has his hands down. So why wouldn't you just repeatedly smash him about the neck and head and call it a goddamn day?
I mean, GSP, the guy's wide open. Just throw a chin shot, man.
If GSP got attacked, if someone was stupid enough to do this, he is not doing this.
No, he's not.
He's not remembering this because guess what? If he's got a single wrist grab, he's gonna have another defense. If he's got another defense. He's gonna add up. This is like typical martial arts shit. And the problem is people see him doing this and they assume that then he legitimizes this crap.
Yeah.
And it's crap. People, don't do this. Don't waste your time with this. I mean, GSP is not even going to do this.
No, it would have been way better if he was like, somebody reaches down and grabs your wrist. Guess what? Their head's wide open. Wham.
Yeah. And you can get rid of all the other.
Get rid of all the other crap.
All the other crap. I'm like, holy crap, man. So, yeah, I mean, I saw this. I was like,
well, let's not even talk about, everything leading up to the fact that you got grabbed in the first place.
Well, forget about, right? I mean, yeah, like these people think like, and again, like you're handing him your wrist, you think like these people, appear out of a puff of smoke and come out. And this is the other problem that we have with this. And again, I don't want to completely shit on it because I don't know, I can't, like, we're taking a technique out of context, right? So I don't know what intro he has with this, if he does any spatial awareness.
True. Yeah. This is a preview clip. That's fair.
Right. So, I mean, if you're doing these preview clips, you should probably preface it with, like, if you make the mistake of letting somebody get into your personal space, right? So, hopefully, and then, you spend 5 seconds on that, 10 seconds on that, and then you can go into this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we don't really want to take it out of, context, but, other than maybe a child, other than a man grabbing a woman to move her, no man is going to ever grab a man like this unless you've got a firearm and you're reaching for your holster and you're doing that. And then again, guess what, kids? You do the same damn thing anyway. Just start smashing him in the head as hard as you freaking can, and then draw your weapon and do what you feel is legally, morally justified. So, yeah. But again, we fight this stuff all the time. I mean, this is like perpetuating the crap that when you argue with people, well, people, are like, oh, this is crap. This is it. I'm like, this is because this is what they do. Yeah. This is what people teach. And this is what gets perpetuated. And this is what's wrong with all of this stuff. Yeah. And even a guy who spent all his time, I'd be more happy if he went into like a flying armbar. Right? At least I'd be like, all right, that's a little over the top. And, there's like, a handful of people that are going to actually freaking attempt that, and probably not a great idea, but at least it would make more sense than me seeing this is like him, like he might as well get into a crane stance. Like I'm fucking waiting for the Karate Kid stuff.
Yeah. It would have been way, oh man.
Yeah.
I know this drives you at least as crazy as it does me. So we don't need to talk about this too much. But you're right. It perpetuates the crap because, again, you have somebody like GSP who would never actually do this.
Never.
Teaching something that he would never actually do. Versus if he just said, hey, in my 20 years of experience, duking it out with people, this is what I've learned works. Guess what? Right. If somebody enters your space or gets you, if somebody grabs your wrist, that's essentially a clinch. And when somebody gets in close and clinches you, you start throwing body shots. You know what I mean? Like
something.
Right? You've been like, hey, that makes sense. I can see where he's going with that.
Yeah. But this is just like, I was freaking so disappointed and shocked. It really was. I mean, that was like, that blew my mind. Because that's the last thing I expected to see. Now, there's another video. Let me get up this. No, I don't want to do the shooter yet. There we go. The MMA fighter, George Baez. I'm not familiar with the fighter at all, but.
Oh yeah, the machete one.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna. So good.
Yeah, this is really good. I just want to see if I can.
I like that you're doing this immediately following GSP. Just feel like, hey, this is what should be done.
Right. I just want to see if okay, I can log in. All right. I just want to make sure I can just blow it up. And I know people, again, like you can't like we always like Monday morning quarterback this stuff. But yeah. So see if I could share. All right. Let me know. Showing off of Instagram. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We don't need to hear them. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's what that fucking looks like. That's what I would expect. Look, the guy's really just kind of flinging it around, but this is a fight, man. This is an assault, right? It's not clean. It's not, Pirates of the Caribbean, right? You got somebody coming at you with a large knife. It looks like a machete to me. This guy just like slips it, gets him in a neck lock and just slams him, which is great. Again,
he became the aggressor, right? He attacked, he powered through, drove, and then slammed him. Man,
just
so
put him
good.
into the earth.
So good.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Yeah. Okay. He didn't get off. I mean, look, listen, the reality is this. One, it's a success, so good for him. And I'm glad. I'm assuming the good guy won here. I don't know, right? But I mean, this is a real reaction to that. Getting the hell out of the way, backing up, trying to figure it out. Don't be afraid to move out of the way or run, or even run around the cars, right? Or run around the tree, right? So, you got to kind of think about this stuff, and you also got to like kind of practice it. But the reality is, we sit there in martial arts training and you'll be like, guy's coming at me with a knife. I'm going to just stand there. No, you're going to you're going to holy shit yourself. And then you're going to be like, okay, now I got to try to figure out how to create an opening for this guy. So he gets off the X because the guy's coming at him at a particular point, and at least he gets him out of rhythm. So the guy's got to he's got the weapon. It's like a stick anyway, right? So the weapon's got to be, he's the way he's holding it and just kind of flailing around. He's slashing with it. So he's got to unload, and he's got to chamber the weapon and cock it back and then cut through. So he's kind of off, catches him in between, and I can introduce them to Mother Earth. Yeah, I'm like, that is, to me, if George St. Pierre showed that, I'd be like, yeah, okay. Not a lot of people can do that, but the reality is that would make a shit ton more sense to me. But you see there, you've got your environment, and we talk about it's like, you feel like you've got to face somebody like one-on-one right there. I mean, don't be afraid to use the environment. But he saw an opening, right? The guy was off balance. He felt, when you're there, your instincts are going to tell you, okay, go. If your mindset is like, okay, I have to, I'm going to attack now. Again, like we always say, like, if you're carrying pepper spray, if you're doing anything like that, it solves a lot of problems, kids. So
again, it goes back to, here's a guy who trained and had, physical contact encounters on a regular basis because of his training.
Yes.
And, he was able to respond in a way that was sufficient.
Yeah. I mean, look, let's face it. If there was another guy there, he's kind of cooked. If the other guy has intent and is aggressive, I mean, right when you're locked up, and this is the problem with sport training. Let's do it again. Okay, this is the problem with sport training, because once you get them down and you're locked up here, you're vulnerable here. Very, right? I'm like, now he's choking him out. Somebody can come up and just boot stomp his head, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, how good is his awareness? I mean, if he slams him, but then he knows somebody else is there, somebody's coming up, maybe he's
right.
Get up or.
And he could be thinking, again, there's obviously nobody else there, right? So he can see the parking lot. He's probably, it's probably some altercation that obviously happened someplace else, right?
Yeah, moved into that space, right?
Yeah. So, you don't know, what exactly, transpired, but he obviously probably figures out the guy's alone. But I don't even think, again, just, something to keep in mind, tactics have to change.
He's obviously being somewhat aware, even though he's on the ground, because he, after like a second or two on the ground, he actually takes the machete and tosses it away.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So he's obviously being aware of what's going on around him to a degree,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, he's a fighter, right? I mean, he's like trained to operate like under stress,
right?
Even though, again, everything gets kind of moved out of the way, but, he, whatever, man, I was just like, again, I hope, hold on. I didn't share that, did I? Okay. There it is. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're locked up with somebody here. But yeah, his head is up. He's looking around. So he's more than just focused on the target.
Yeah.
Oh man, that dude hit the deck hard. That must have felt good, bro. Just put somebody down like that. I mean, no, don't. Yeah, good for him. So, yeah, as Stefano points out, yeah, distance equals safety, 1,000%. I mean, you gotta, creating that, creating the distance, giving yourself some time, giving yourself to figure out what the hell's going on. Even if you're backing, even if you're retreating, that's fine. You're off the X, right? If there's other guys there, again, there's a lot of things that could go wrong, right? You could trip on a curb, you can trip over something, whatever. So, it looked like, to be honest, he really showed like mercy on this guy, to be honest. Because after he slammed him on the ground and was strangling him, I'm like,
yeah, there was no ground pound or anything like that.
No, man.
At least that we see in the clip.
Yeah, exactly. They cut that shit short. So, yeah. So again, if getting back to GSP, if it was something more along those lines, which I get what he's trying to do, but again, he's it's like he's cashing in on his name with self-defense, but he's teaching every other.
Yeah, he's teaching McDojo instead of GSP.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe he'll catch wind of this and be like, "Yeah, they're right."
Yeah, what he would be? What he'd be our 8th listener? So, yeah. On another, so obviously, I mean, you've heard about the shooting that was in Wisconsin Christian school this weekend. Yeah, first time, 15-year-old girl with a 9mm shot 6, killed 2, teacher and a student. As of now, they don't know, what her motive was. Police came on scene. She was already dead. I get like, every time these come up, and I'm going to forget to talk about it because, I really can't be, I refuse to have this shit normalized. I mean, obviously, company sells what it's, we sell bulletproof, body armor for everyday carry. I'm like, it's a reality and this is what we do. But it's like, I do it as a reaction as to, what is happening and what's going on. And that's it. So,
yeah, you don't want to see it happen so you can increase your sales, right? Like,
right. And it's ridiculous because it's a weird thing. Because it's like, when there is tragedy, I get upset because we are close to it. And you're like, son of a bitch. I'd rather be, person saved, with body armor, or, nobody, or the lockdown worked, or, school security, school resource officer reacted, or, something where it was stopped, or it was head off, parents noticed something.
Yeah, never make news, something. Right? Because
right. And that happens, right? I mean, It does happen. It happens all the time.
Happens all the time.
It happens all the time. So we just don't hear it too often. We only hear this, but again, when you're sitting there, I'm like, look, and I get these people all the time, and that are like, well, this is where we live in. It's a shame we live in. Dude, I get it, but it's like, let's do something about it, right? I'm like, you're sitting there. I mean, you want to pass, like, there've been like 620 gun laws passed since Sandy Hook, right? I mean, and again, we are like, it's such a weird thing because we're all gun people, and you get people like, well, the statistics are exaggerated. So like, brother, shit's happening, right? Don't tell me it's not happening. Don't tell me how infrequent it is. I get it. I know statistically it's, whatever, but it happens.
Yeah.
So, we're not doing enough. Every school should have precaution. They should have armed guard. They should have, backpacks or body armor for the staff. They should have, vestibules. They should have, protocols for people coming in and out. And everyone thinks it won't happen there until it does. Right. I'm like, we have like we don't have a gun problem as much as we have a mental health problem. Because we all own guns. I don't think about mass murder at all, or even kill, zero. And there's like 300 million guns in the country, right? I'm like, it's like, if that were the case, if it were that dangerous, this would happen a lot more often, right? So,
right, guns themselves aren't the problem, right?
Yeah, I'm like, because whenever I go, are you as a someone who's anti-gun, I'm like, would you, if you had a gun, I go, would you be compelled to go shoot children? And of course they're going to say no. I mean, that's without a doubt, but somebody will. I go, right. But it's like, where is that happening? That, somebody doesn't wake up one day and just decide to go murder children. Right. A kid, is like, it's not like all of a sudden I'm just like going to be like, wake up. It's either somebody's dropping the ball here.
Yeah, I mean, unless the person is like sociopathic, psychopathic, whatever.
Right.
They're not going to just they're not going to be like, man, I just want to go kill some people. Although, I saw this one crime case where like that actually was kind of the case, which is really weird.
Yeah. Well, it's a sociopath.
That was radicalized from video games and stuff like that. But the reality is most of these instances are like what you would consider a crime of passion almost, where it's like a mental breakdown due to something. And it's reactionary of like, they just are going to go get something done,
Yeah. And this is it. I mean, you don't get to that point without showing something.
Usually,
right?
Yeah.
It's again, you're a sociopath, you're a serial killer. Yeah, no one's stopping you. You're gonna be successful unless you get caught.
Right. Until
right away. That's it.
You will probably get caught.
But it's like, there's not, it's not.
Those are so far and few between.
Yeah.
You can't even talk about them.
Right. So that's where we're dealing with this, and this is the first time it was a big deal. It was a girl who was a shooter. Again, awful. All I think about what drove her to that point, and the people that were everyone involved, the community, and it's like when we talk, you talk about like, things that they have in common, because I took Colonel Grossman's course twice with the first responders and with the department. And, it's like, look, there's like a lot of things I have in common. There's like obviously planning, access to firearms. And, they enjoyed, violent media, whether it was video games or movies or something like that. And it's a combination of all these things. And then, we didn't even get into at the time, because it was years ago, what medication they may be on. Because now it's like SSRIs. And then, of course, you're getting the onslaught. It's like, there's no connection between this. And I'm like, okay, let me look at the study that was done. Can you publish that? Right? Like, what are the medical records of the people that are, what does the toxicology report show? What are you doing? What's happening? And they really, there's not, there's not a lot that goes on in other than what's getting, pumped out from, CDC and WHO and all the culprits that are all involved on that level. If it came out that all these kids are on medication, all these people are on medication, and there's like a missing link, what that would do to the mental health treatment, where they're like just putting kids on shit constantly. I mean, like our daughter had anxiety, but it wasn't bad. It's like fucking normal anxiety, right? So she was like biting her nails. So we wind up getting her some herbal remedy, which is like, okay, it was Sedalia like plant, and that was kind of like had an effect.
Yeah. My wife uses this tea stuff that she likes because she's got pretty bad anxiety, but she doesn't want to take medication. And so she's got this tea that she loves, and it does. I've watched her use it. It's amazing what it does.
I said it worked. It worked for my daughter.
Yeah.
And we started, and that was that. And also, she fucking works out like crazy. I'm like, that gets rid of a lot of shit,
stress, and
dude. I'm telling you,
and
I go on a 9-mile run, man. I come back, I'm like mellow.
You have the energy to do stuff.
I'm just like, I can go fucking take a shower, sit in the hot tub, have a cigar. And I'm fucking done. I'm done. I'm getting a good lift or hit the bag or do whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's fucking, it feels good. You just get it out of your system. And that's what I think, I want to know, what their lives are like, how active are they physically, right? How are they doing academically? Were they struggling? What medications are they on?
And I mean,
household look like.
They didn't say what happened to her. They just said they found her dead. So we can assume murder, suicide.
Yeah, that's usually,
So probably mad at a boyfriend or a teacher or something like that, and then kids probably got in the way and they got shot too. Like, it's hard to say, but she obviously was there for a purpose, and then when the purpose was done, it was
that's usually what happens. Yep.
So
I just again, these things continue to pop up, and again, they're passing these gun laws, and you're looking at the wrong end of this situation.
Yeah.
It's like, let's say you said, okay, it's illegal to own a freaking gun.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Fine. What happens to local crime, right? What happens to,
they switch from guns to something else, or they get guns somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean it's
look at like South Korea or someplace where like they don't have guns. Guess what? I talked about this before. They run around with machetes and freaking cleavers.
Yeah. They get the job done. You could get in your car and just drive. What does it take to get in a car and see a bunch of kids parked? You know what I mean? Waiting for pickup. You know what I mean? It's not impossible, right? So it'll find a way. It's just, this is how it's manifested itself. And we're focusing on the wrong goddamn thing.
Yeah.
And that's where we're like,
and not even mental health, mental health is obviously a big part of the issue, but like, again, there's laws and there's policies in place to try and address mental health. But if somebody doesn't want to seek help, there's not a whole lot you can do for them.
Right.
But it's like, what about all this stuff that leads up to this too? What about empowering the teachers again, so that they can, address children that they see that are having issues? What about empowering, parents again, so that, they can actually be active in their kids' lives, like all these things that, have been removed, right? So now all these support structures that these kids used to have, like they don't have a support structure anymore. Teachers can't do anything, can't say anything, can't do anything, you know what I mean? And they say like, oh, we have an anti-bullying policy. What does that actually mean?
What it means is that if there's any issue, both kids go home.
Yeah. Or, all right, I'll send them to, whatever their principal or whatever. And then that kid there, and it's just like, hey, knock it off, because their grade level principal's overwhelmed with all the other stuff they have to do, and they're just like, I don't have time to deal with this crap, just go back to class and stop messing around.
I remember with our kids, and kids would be getting bullied, and there would be issues, and there would be a lot of discussion, but nothing would be done.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, okay, we'll take it, we'll report it. Okay, nothing gets done.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to call your parent. Well, what if the parents don't care,
Right. Nothing gets done.
Nothing gets done.
And if you stand up for yourself, then you both get in trouble.
You both get
I mean, I was very clear with my kids. I'm like, look, if somebody messes with you, I go, you finish it.
Oh, I told my kids, I was like, you are allowed to defend yourself. If you get in trouble for defending yourself, I will walk in that school, high five you, and we'll go like get lunch or something.
Yeah, well, right. We'll get you. Right, exactly. I'm like, it's exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen, because I'm not going to have you listen. listen, you're going to have to deal with people. You're going to have to deal with situations. You're going to have to, go with this crap. I'm like, this is it. I'm like, let's take care of this now when you're in kindergarten and 4th grade. Because what happens when you're in 16 and 17, the little problem gets huge. And to an adult, it's still a little problem. But if you don't know how to deal with it, it's like, what's the saying? Your worst day is your worst day. Right. Yeah. So your worst day is probably different than my worst day.
Right.
And if like one's here, right. You just don't. So you got to deal with this shit now. Right. Because the problems get bigger. They get more compounded. And, once you get like, hormones involved and you're growing and you're doing all this shit, it's like, it becomes a whole other thing.
Not to mention that, like, people nowadays, I can't even just say kids, but people nowadays can't socialize very well because everything's media now. Heaven forbid you take away a phone, their phones, and make them sit in a room with each other,
Yeah.
Like,
did you see, there's a interesting documentary. It's called, it's bowling. It's like Bowling with No One or Bowling. It's essentially, it's on Netflix. Well, I know you don't watch it, but it's essentially like how clubs used to be like the 4-H club, the bowling league, the Knights of Columbus, like there used to be all these social clubs. And like with the event of social media and entertainment and individualism, like people have gotten away from that, because what happened is like most of the philanthropy that was done in the United States was done by clubs.
Yeah.
Like the garden club donates this, and the church group does this. And so now, it's pretty much dead. And they're like, this is the end of basically societies, because now it's like, it's all here. And, we're trying to connect in a way, but that's not like we connect through training, through this, but it's, there's different when you're like, okay, let's go help, that neighbor fix his fence. Right. So let's help them.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of, they're having a tough year. Let's get them some Christmas presents. Let's get them some food.
The most
right?
well-rounded kids are the ones that are still involved in those types of organizations, 4-H and things like that, speech and debate, play athletics, you know what I mean? Those are the ones that are most well-rounded. But I can't tell you, like, almost, I would say probably 99% of the kids that I got in ISS, I'd be like, well, they'd be like, I hate high school. And I'd be like, well, what do you do? And they'd be like, nothing. And I'd be like, that's the problem.
Right.
Like you're wandering, this amazing time to go and do all these things. And they're like, well, I don't like any of those things. I'm like, how do you know? There's a club for everything.
Right.
Like somebody doesn't have a club that you want to do, start one. That's how you create friends and find like-minded people.
Yeah. Right. Create a club that hates other clubs.
Yeah. And they just be like, well, I just want to go home and do nothing. I'm like, well, that's why you're miserable.
Yeah, because you're not designed to do nothing. You're designed to solve problems, meet challenges, and work with other people.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's nothing better than like doing something that's like helping your community and helping each other when you're, once you realize that, it's like, it's more than you, right? It's more than, that's what, like, you can keep consuming and, while there, you can just get, become a whole and just get more shit. And it's just more shit, because a lot of times after you get that shit, it's like, I need more shit. I gotta,
most people are trying to fill a void that they don't realize that they get that immediate euphoria from like buying something or getting something new, and then it goes away. They're trying to fill a void that can only be filled through like social interaction and service.
Right.
People don't realize when you serve other people, it helps you feel better.
Yeah. It's completely self-serving. Yeah. That's right. So yeah, dude, so look, I mean, you're everyone's responsible for their own families, and your community, and like you said, getting your kids involved in something curricular. I was like, I don't care what it is, if it's sports, if it's chess, if it's theater, if it's music, if it's, do something with other people, that you're going to have to like, oh, that person and I want the same thing and we're going to compete for it. We got to figure out how we're both going to get it.
Yeah.
Oh, I really like that person. That's my ride or die. That guy's a dick. I'm staying away from him.
Right. Learning how to
deal with him.
Don't get along with, you know?
Yeah, right. And that's where, you're like, that's what it is. Because if you don't, you wind up, posting shit on my face. And, it's like, dude, nobody, like, people, like, if you, like, somebody posts a negative comment on something, I'm always like interested to see, like, who is that for? Right? Do you feel like, you're like setting the world right? You're looking for other people to be like, yeah, fuck that guy, shit like that. It's like, what purpose does that serve? Right.
Yeah.
And even regardless of like how outraged your opinion, most of the time it's completely self-serving, because if you put something out there that I'm going to do all the time, and I see it all the time, where, whether it's training, whether it's body armor or whatever. So, you're always going to, and the negative is always like, yeah, why would you like, people are like, well, what if you get shot in the head? I'm like, what if you don't?
You
like,
walk around and like,
I'm like, so I'd rather have like
full armor like all day long. Like, come on now.
No, but they wear none, but they say that because they don't want to hear statistics and where most, lethal rounds.
They want to be like, I can get shot in the head and I'm not going to wear full.
So why would I bother?
I'm just not going to wear any, right?
I'm not going to do anything. Okay, that's great. Well, I have a gun. Well, look, I'd rather be a guy with a gun and body armor than a guy with just a gun. Because what? Bad guys don't shoot back?
Or just be a guy with body armor, because who cares?
Right. Who fucking cares? So, I mean, but it's like they say it to justify their own inaction, because somewhere around they're like, I think I need that. Oh, fuck that guy. I don't need that shit. It's like, or, oh, I've already been to the school of hard knocks. I'm like,
well, and, I just want to do a shout out for your body armor real quick, because, one of the big problems has always been like, I'm not going to just walk around in a vest all day. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not going to walk around in my plate carrier all day. That's ridiculous.
It's stupid.
Right. And then, aside from what you came up with, it was like, oh, I had a soft thing or maybe a plate in my back, but that was it, Right. So it's like, what about my front? That's why like your system of being able to pull it up and out and over, man, so good.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm like, I just like, look, I'm like,
I wish it was a little bit cheaper, but those things are expensive.
If I can somehow pick out a model, I'll hook you up. Are you kidding me? Go pick out what you want.
Armor is expensive. All right, I'm just throwing that out for everybody watching. Armor is expensive, so
pick out what you want. Just pick out what you want, okay? So anyway, they and then and then on the other side, the jackets, you're like, dude, if you don't want to, because you'll be people like, well, what about fuck? I'm like, dude, I go, if you want to wear body armor all the time, wear the jacket. The only issue there is like, we only have soft armor in the jacket, so it's only handgun, right? So what if I'm like, okay, if you're like the first guy shot, your problems are, you're not going to have time to deploy it.
Here's the other thing too, like people aren't walking around with rifles, typically speaking.
Right.
A handgun, something that can stop a handgun is going to be plenty for 90.
It's over 90%. We know the numbers.
99.8% of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, everybody sees the AR or whatever. I'm like, dude, we have armor that stops all that shit. But for the most part, the handgun's fine.
Unless you're in a high risk zone, like a teacher or something like that, you don't need it.
No, and I would say like throw a couple trauma pads in there just for good measure for the blunt force, and you're good. I'm like, I just can't. If like, look, when I go places where there's crowds, if I travel, if I can take it, I take it.
Yeah, it just goes back to everyday carry items, right? When I everyday carry going to the store, 5 minutes down the road is different than when I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do a trip cross country. My everyday carry increases.
Right.
If I'm going from like my town here where I don't have that much crime to like Oakland, my everyday carry is gonna change. Yeah,
1,000%. Right. But it doesn't take much to like, okay, I'm taking a backpack anyway. Take that backpack.
Exactly.
I'm like, so when I always like chuckle because guys are like, okay, well, like I do the shirt or do the vest under. I go, you're not wearing that every day, right? I'm like, it's hot, dude. You wear armor. I wore armor. After a while, it sucks. You get hot.
It
I don't care.
sucks.
You
It's
get a
heavy.
plate.
It's
You
hot.
get hot, and
Oh.
even if it's a handgun plate, it's like it doesn't breathe, people.
It doesn't.
I don't care what they're telling you.
That's why
You
cops have
sweat.
those hoses now that hook up to their AC thing, stick it on their shirt.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, it's not. So at least like, I want to be able to like, okay, I'm commuting into work. I got it. When I'm at work, I take it off. Nobody knows I fucking have it. And you're done. And you go about your business. So, yeah. So last thing I wanted to talk about tonight, is again, different, just really interesting, what happens in Germany. We're getting a little geopolitics here, people.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, Damian made me stop talking about it so we could talk about it.
Yeah, because this is kind of Josh's wheelhouse. So the German chancellor loses confidence vote, clearing the way for February election. So basically, they dismantled their government.
So I didn't look it up.
Government collapsed.
So my
Okay,
understanding
go.
of what the chancellor would be like the equivalent of like the Speaker of the House, I think.
Okay.
That's my understanding from like reading through that and all that stuff. But I didn't fully look it up. If one of our German buddies is on and sees this and wants to correct us, please do.
Yeah, please. Because
but they still have a president, right? So go ahead.
no, so I just said it's like he lost the vote lost the confidence vote in January, and apparently, according he said, he had called for himself.
Yeah. So as you read through this, so it says right there, Schultz said Monday that he called the vote not only for Parliament but for the whole electorate. He called for it for himself, right? And
why
so
would he?
Apparently, the way it works in Germany, as you read through that article, is if the chancellor, so whoever is in control, whatever parties are in control of the government, they basically field all the positions. And so by getting a no confidence vote for him, it basically disbanded all of their, the parliament, I forget what the word is, whatever they call it, the parliament, Bundestag, the Bundestag, right? So basically disbanded the whole Bundestag, and all that's left is the president. So German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, he's the only one in charge of the government right now.
So again, so many questions. Like, could he start just passing laws? Or he's just
I don't know.
Okay, so French General Assembly had a note. So Clayton hey Clayton, thanks for here we go. So he said French General Assembly also had a no confidence vote last week. What the hell's going on over Europe?
Yeah. So anyways, and then the whole idea is they wanted to force basically a new parliament so they can pass laws. So I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but Trudeau basically did the same thing. I think it was 2 years ago, where apparently in Canada, because Canada is a Commonwealth nation, they're technically still owned by the British.
Right.
Trudeau got permission from whoever it was, his contact in Britain, to disband all of Parliament. And so he literally just said Parliament's no more, because his reasoning was he couldn't get any laws passed. And so by disbanding Parliament, it forced new elections and all these other things, which then his hope was to then get people elected
who would vote his way.
Got it.
Right.
And it sounds like this is what's going on in Germany, is they couldn't get the stuff passed that they wanted to because they've got a lot of contention, especially according to like the budget for next year.
Right.
And so they were like, well, that's fine. We'll just do a no confidence vote. We'll move everybody out of the way. We'll get elections in February instead of in like 2026 or whatever it said. I don't remember.
Right.
And then their hope is to get people that will then let them vote, like pass the laws that they want to pass.
That's insane.
That is like the opposite of like duly elected people. If you can just like get rid of the people you don't like.
Right. That'd be like, yeah, okay, Congress is okay, can't get any pass. All right.
Like President Biden or President Trump being like, I can't pass the laws I want. Congress, you're done. We're going to hold another election, and you guys better vote for the people I want.
So think about this shit. So it's like, you would think at some level, if you're in parliament, you're like, oh, well, I don't want to lose my job. Right. Or I got to run for election again. Fuck that. I'm like, all right, dude, what do you mean?
Here's the craziest part too, is this dude who just got the no confidence vote, right? He's now still the leading representative for his party to be voted back in as chancellor.
Of course. Yeah. The way you explain it makes sense.
Everybody just voted to say this guy can't do his job. That's why we're shutting down the government.
But
we're going to put him back in.
Yeah. But again, they're just playing this. They're just playing the game. They're clearing house and try to win the places where they think they can win and get their crap passed. I mean,
which seems like an absolutely ridiculous.
It's not the will of the people, but then again, it's not. We live in a different country, right? So, and people think everything's the same wherever you go. Is like we're seeing like France is in having their problems. You're seeing what's happening now. How many people have been locked up in UK for posting on Facebook?
Yeah.
Like 3,000, like something, an insane number, Captain Coach says that Canada's about to invade the United States soon. Yeah, man. We'll send our Salvation Army to take care of them. George, you're not here, so we're going to talk shit on Canada. Yeah.
So I will say, shout out to the Canadian military. They actually do pretty good work.
Sure.
They're really small, but they do good work.
Well, they don't have to be big because they have us.
They have us and they have Britain, right? Because they're a nation.
It's like,
most of the British are going to send their people.
That's what I always chuckle about when people talk about these other small European countries. Like, well, they can leave this, they can do that. Yeah, they can do that because they really don't need to have a military. Yeah, they have a military. I mean, let's put it this way. Yes, they have soldiers. All right. But if anything happened in, like, I don't know, Sweden, Denmark, any of these other places, guess what's going to happen?
Yeah, you're talking about forces that are maybe roughly 100,000, give or take.
Right.
Right. Which is maybe as big or smaller, most typically smaller than our Marine Corps, which is our smallest branch.
Right. Exactly. So, we provide this blanket of security all over the globe, and it's a fact. So, at some tax-free, by the way, like we pay for that.
Yeah.
It's not like they're renting us or paying us, like we pay soldier salary, we feed them, we rent the space, we buy, that's us. That's us doing that. There should be something. Again, we're getting off, but we go down there. I mean, my feeling is like, look, I go, okay, you want a base here? Okay, this is what it's going to cost you. Oh, what do you mean? It's like,
usually it's like, hey, we want to put a base there. And then it's like, okay, but you have to jump through all these hoops.
Right.
And we're like, okay, sure, we'll jump through all those hoops and we'll be there and help protect you.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to pay for it.
Yeah, and we're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
And we're going to buy the land or rent the land, usually is what we do. We rent the land.
Exactly.
Which is super expensive.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's not going down every year. I'd be like, honestly, it's like, you know what, dude, we got it. You do you. See you later. That's where I'm at. I'm like,
yeah, the world would be in a hard spot right now if America pulled out and went purely isolationist, which is what a lot of people want.
Yeah, I mean,
I think like people don't realize, hey, our Navy, for anybody wondering, our Navy literally protects the shipping lanes around the world. If we left the China Pacific, China would lock that place down and not any shipping would get through without massive tariffs, if at all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's
where 90+% of the shipping goes through there. So just so you guys know.
Stefano said something funny. Europe is NATO. Right. Yes. But again, who's funding most of that? Yeah,
we are. We fund it and we provide the most people.
Right. So, I mean, I appreciate everybody's involved. It's like, you're, yeah.
Usually the European nations, they are like, why do we have to give up so many soldiers? Why do we have to pay so much money? America, you do it. It's like we're already paying over 70% of the money and field.
It's like 70% of the soldiers. we're like the millionaire husband, and like our wife works at a boutique, and she's like, here, I contribute. Here, here's my money. Like, yeah, dude, no, it's us. We're doing it. And I don't, to be honest, I don't, personally, I don't like it. I mean, there's something that has to be worked out because we just have money going out. And it's
Yeah,
like,
it definitely needs to get better for sure. We're
Yeah.
hemorrhaging money to places that don't even like us. Why are we giving money to Iran? Why are we giving money to Egypt? Why are we giving money to all these places that hate us?
hate us. Fine, go. Well, again, all that money goes out and comes back, from the politicians who broker the deals, right? I'm like, it's like, your kid becomes, it comes, on the board of directors of a Ukrainian, energy company, and he's making,
Wait,
hundreds of
are you
thousands
referring
of
to
dollars. Exactly. And he's paying $100,000 a month, and apparently doesn't. The gun laws don't apply to him because his father stole the gun laws, and then he just violated all of them, and then he gets pardoned. Which I'm not like. I get why he listen, the pardon doesn't bother me. It's the hypocrisy of it because it's his son. Like if he didn't pardon his son, he'd be like a huge bionic asshole. I mean, let's face it. Yeah,
I don't know. My parents always told me that anything I do illegal, they're asking for maximum punishment. So that's how.
I was saying you get in trouble, you spend a night in jail. So that's it. I go, you're definitely sleeping there. So yeah, but it's I mean, the plan was obvious. Kamala was going to get in or whoever, and then they were going to pardon him. That was what the plan was. I would no doubt Trump probably would have pardoned him anyway. But now, all the shit that's going on, I got to do a deep dive into it, or a little deeper dive, because I'm hearing Chinese pedophiles are getting pardoned, and I don't know, what's clickbait and what's not.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it at all.
I'm like I'm not gonna fall for that, but it's I don't know how many pardons typically go out. It seems like a lot, but again, I'm in my own echo chamber with this shit, so what do I know? But yeah, so I just it's been an interesting year. The drone situation is not so. I was listening to what's his name? I'm gonna look him up real quick. He was an Air Force. He was the guy that shot the Tic Tac and the UFOs. Lieutenant. Lieutenant Graves, F-18 pilot. So he's talking about the drones.
Yeah, he shot down a drone.
No, he didn't shoot down a drone. He was the one that he was the first one to come out with the UAP that was the Tic Tac.
Yeah.
And the other shit. But it's they're coming from offshore. So they're not homegrown, and he believes. I mean, look, I think we know what they are, but was interesting. He's these started appearing 3 years ago around the same time of year, but over by Langley.
Yeah.
So
did you shoot one with the green laser yet?
No, I haven't seen one yet. I mean, right now everything's a drone. Look at us. That's a fine drone. I said, dude, that's a jet. That's it's everything. So. Who knows? But he says he estimates there's somewhere between 800 and 1,000 of them. Significant, and not one has been that we know of has been recovered or shot down or anything like that. So, you've got, our local cops are what the hell is going on? They don't they're visibly they're vocal. But yeah, so it's some of the maneuvers that they do, first of all, they don't make any sound. And I don't know if they're predator drone looking or helicopter drone looking, right? So, I mean, I don't know. People post pictures. I can't tell what they are. So I just see lights and no sound. They do make some tight turns. He seems to believe that there's drone technology now that with the predator drone types, they can make these tight turns and all this other crap. So, but the amount that they're operating and the fact that they're, they're not crashing, they're doing whatever their mission is and then going back out to sea. So it's either He thinks it could be a submersible that's out there. He doesn't think it's a boat.
Yeah.
Where they're coming from. And then there's all this crazy crap about,
Makes you wonder if they're being programmed like to run a route or if they're being controlled.
Yeah. Because they may be programmed because I don't think they're catching any RF or anything like that coming from them. So they may be programmed, to be honest. And that would make sense. That's why they're not, being picked up. Like nothing's being picked up.
Right. There's no signal to send it back to really because it's just running.
Right. Clayton's, if it's not crashing, then they're definitely not from Tesla, right?
All right.
Fair enough. So yeah. No, I've listened to Bob Lazar, Stefano, definitely. Yeah, I know who he is. It's an interesting story. If you don't know, he used to work at Los Alamos. This is like in the 80s. And,
yeah.
If people like check him out on Netflix,
Yeah.
He was on Rogan a couple times.
I am way into the the alien conspiracies. That's my jam.
Yeah, I'm all like, look, but you know what? Like when the government starts coming out and saying that they don't know what it is, now I think it's theirs. Right? Like as soon as they're like, no, you're not doing that shit. I'm not falling for that again.
We're not going to shut it down, but we don't know where it is.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, why don't you just say we're running drills like every other, military company? Have the decency to just freaking lie like you did back in the day. Yeah, we know what they are. They're ours. We're running drills. Just let them do their thing. Leave them alone. Right? I mean,
what's even funnier is they could just say that and still not know, and people would just be like, all right, whatever.
I would be like, yeah, they're running drills, dude. No, you do your thing. Yes, that would totally be me. I wouldn't care. It's just, I don't have to think about it. Fine. But when you tell me we don't know what they are, I'm like, now you're like, Jesus Christ, dude. What do you mean you don't know? They're in New Jersey. I'm in New Jersey. Yeah, Clayton's like, lie honestly. Exactly. Have the decency to lie to me. Like,
yeah,
you don't have to do it well. Just have a lie, simple.
Something believable.
Yeah,
it's like counterintelligence 101.
Yeah, it's not difficult. So but yeah, so that's we're still doing that. But they should be, according to him, they'll be gone by Christmas because they come around the same like 2-3 week time period. And this was
they just want to watch everybody's festivities.
Yeah, right. The lights attract them. Yeah, man. So I hope you enjoy your quiet Christmas.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Said we're gonna, we got like 2 days of like insanity. But of course we like cook. I mean, we've been prepping like for like 2 weeks. So Angela and I do a lot of the cooking, and one of our friends. I mean, we bring some stuff in too, but we like to still cook like the stuff that our families cooked. So that goes on, like that'll go on, like the prep will be like all weekend and the day before. And then we got somebody, we got some help to like, serve and clean up and crap like that. And then that's it, man. Then we just like hang out and just roll and kill a bottle of Pappy with my buddy. And and that's it. So yeah, so we were off next week, everybody. Thanks for joining us. It was an interesting 2024. 2025 looks fun. And
are we doing it for the week after Christmas as well? Right before New Year's? Or I guess that'd be the second, right?
Yeah, we'll do it the week after New Year's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be like is that the second? Yeah,
it's the second. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing it the second for sure.
All right.
For sure. Cool. Only 1 week. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Till next time, train honestly.